Park Do-hyun pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the maintenance shaft. His hands were shaking as he checked the small device strapped to his wrist. The holographic disguise was working, but barely. His pale human skin flickered and became the bluish scales of a Velthari trader. Then it flickered again, showing his real face for half a second. "Come on," he whispered. "Just hold together for a few more hours." He had stolen this disguise generator from a dead smuggler 3 years ago. It was old technology, broken in many places, but Do-hyun had fixed it with his own hands. That was what he did. He fixed things: engines, weapons, navigation systems, life support machines. If it was broken, Do-hyun could make it work again. That skill had kept him alive when so many other humans had died. He crawled through the shaft until he reached a small opening. Below him was the main hall of the Crimson Bazaar, the largest illegal auction station in this part of the galaxy. Thousands of aliens filled the massive room. Some walked on 2 legs like him, others floated through the air or crawled on many limbs. There were species from 100 different worlds, all here to buy and sell things that no legal market would touch. Do-hyun dropped down from the shaft and landed quietly behind a group of tall, thin creatures with gray skin. No one noticed him. Good. He adjusted his disguise one more time and walked into the crowd. 5 years ago, humans had lived peacefully on Earth. They had no idea that the galaxy was full of intelligent life. They had no idea that a massive government called the Dominion controlled most of known space. Then the Dominion found Earth. They studied humans for 6 months. Then they made their decision. Humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too creative. The Dominion ordered all humans to be captured and contained on special prison planets. Those who resisted were killed. Do-hyun had watched his family die in the first attacks. He had escaped by hiding in the cargo hold of an alien trading ship. For 5 years, he had survived alone in a galaxy that wanted him dead or locked away forever. The auction hall was hot and loud. Floating platforms carried items for sale while holographic screens showed pictures and prices. Do-hyun kept his head down and walked slowly through the crowd. He was not here to buy anything valuable. He just needed some cheap parts for his small repair shop on a nearby station, maybe an old engine core. Maybe some navigation chips, anything he could fix and sell again. Elder Molvik, the Tesseran auctioneer, stood on the main platform. He was a large creature with 4 arms and skin like cracked stone. His voice was deep and echoed through the hall as he announced each item. "Lot 7048, Molvik said. "A military-grade plasma cannon from the Veth Wars. Starting bid is 50,000 credits." Do-hyun ignored the expensive items. He could never afford them. He made his way toward the back of the hall where they sold the junk. Old ships with broken engines, damaged equipment that no one wanted. That was where he belonged. Then he saw it. Lot 7049 was a ship. It floated on a display platform near the back corner, almost hidden behind larger items. It was small, maybe enough room for 4 or 5 people. The hull was covered in dirt and damage. Strange symbols were carved into the metal, symbols that Do-hyun had never seen before. Most people walked past without looking. It was obviously worthless. Just another piece of space junk that someone had found floating in the void. But Do-hyun stopped. He stared at the ship. Something was wrong. No, not wrong. Something was different. He had fixed thousands of ships in his life. He knew every type of engine, every style of hull construction, every design from every major species. This ship matched nothing he had ever seen. The metal was strange. The shape was strange. The symbols were strange. He moved closer. His mechanic eyes studied every detail. The hull was not just old, it was ancient. The type of metal used had not been produced for thousands of years. The design was not from any species he knew. This ship was built before the Dominion existed, maybe before any current civilization existed. Lot 7749, Elder Mulvik announced in a bored voice. Unknown origin vessel. Engine core is dead. Navigation systems corrupted. Life support barely functional. Honestly, I do not know why we are selling this garbage. Starting bid is 200 credits. The crowd ignored it completely. No one raised their hand. No one cared about a broken ship that was probably older than their entire species. Do-Yun's heart was beating fast. He only had 847 credits to his name. But he knew, with every instinct he had developed over 20 years of fixing machines, that this ship was special. He could feel it. There was something sleeping inside that ancient hull, something waiting. His hand went up before he could stop himself. 200 credits, he said. His voice sounded strange through the disguise generator. Mulvik looked surprised that anyone had bid at all. 200 credits from the Veltari trader. Anyone else? He waited for 2 seconds. No, sold to the Veltari. Please collect your garbage from Dock 17. Do-Yun transferred the credits and received an ownership chip. His hands were shaking again, but this time not from fear. He had just spent almost a quarter of all his money on a ship that everyone else thought was worthless. Either he was a genius, or he was the biggest fool in the galaxy. He turned to leave the auction hall. He needed to get to Dock 17 before anyone looked too closely at him. But as he walked through the crowd, his disguise flickered again. This time it stayed off for almost 2 full seconds. A Tesseran guard standing nearby turned his head. His small black eyes locked onto Do-Hyun. For one terrible moment, they stared at each other. Then the disguise activated again, covering Do-Hyun in fake blue scales. "You there," the guard said. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "Step forward for verification. Your holo emitter seems damaged." Do-Hyun felt cold fear spread through his body. If they scanned him, they would find out he was human. If they found out he was human, he would be sent to a prison planet or killed on the spot. Either way, his life would be over. The guard took a step toward him. Behind the guard, Do-Hyun could see 2 more security officers turning to look. The exit was 30 meters away. His new ship was waiting in Dock 17. But between him and freedom stood a guard who was about to discover the most wanted secret in the galaxy. Do-Hyun took a deep breath. He had survived for 5 years by thinking fast and never giving up. He was not going to die in an auction hall. Not today. Not when he had just found something that might change everything. He smiled at the guard and reached for his wrist device. "Yes, officer. My apologies. Let me adjust the settings. This old thing gives me trouble sometimes." His fingers moved across the controls, but he was not adjusting the disguise. He was setting the device to overload. In 3 seconds, it would release a bright flash of light that would blind everyone nearby for almost 10 seconds. 3 seconds. That was all the time he had to plan his escape. Do-Hyun counted in his head. 3, 2, 1. The flash exploded outward. Aliens screamed. The guard stumbled backward, covering his eyes, and Do-Hyun ran faster than he had ever run in his life, pushing through the crowd toward Dock 17 and the ancient ship that was waiting for him. Do-Hyun ran through the crowded corridors of the station. Behind him, he could hear the guards shouting. Alarms began to ring. Red lights flashed on the walls, but he did not stop. He could not stop. Dock 17 was at the end of a long hallway. The ancient ship sat there on a landing platform, looking even worse in the harsh station lights. Rust covered most of the hull. One of the rear panels was hanging loose. It looked like it might fall apart if someone breathed on it too hard. But Do-Hyun had no choice now. He ran up the boarding ramp and hit the button to close the door behind him. The ramp lifted slowly, making terrible grinding sounds. The door sealed just as 3 guards appeared at the end of the hallway. Inside, the ship was dark. Emergency lights gave a weak red glow, but most of the systems were dead. Dust covered everything. The air smelled old, like opening a tomb that had been sealed for centuries. Do-hyun moved through the narrow corridors, searching for the cockpit. The walls were covered in those strange symbols he had seen on the outside. Up close, they almost looked like writing, but no language he recognized. Some of the walls seemed to pulse slightly, like they were alive. He found the cockpit at the front of the ship. 2 seats faced a console covered in controls he did not understand. There were no screens, no buttons, nothing that looked familiar. Just smooth surfaces with more of those strange symbols carved into them. "How do I fly this thing?" he said to himself. His communication device buzzed. A message was coming through on an encrypted channel. Only one person had that encryption code. "Do-hyun, are you still alive?" The voice belonged to Kang Yuna, an old friend who had helped him escape Earth 5 years ago. She was a pilot, one of the best, and now she ran information networks for the underground human resistance. "Barely," he replied. "I am in some kind of ancient ship. I bought it at the auction, but I cannot figure out how to start it." "You bought a ship? With what money?" Yuna sounded both worried and confused. "Long story. Listen, I need to leave right now. There are guards outside and my disguise is broken. Can you help me? I can try to hack into the station systems and unlock your dock clamps. But Do-hyun, you need to hear this. Dominion patrols are entering the system, a whole fleet of them. Commander Reth is leading them personally." Do-hyun felt his blood turn cold. Commander Reth was famous for hunting humans. He had captured more of Do-hyun's people than any other Dominion officer. If Reth was here, then something very bad was happening. "Just get me out of this dock," Do-hyun said. "I will figure out the rest." He turned back to the console. There had to be some way to power up this ship. He was a mechanic. He had fixed machines that were supposed to be impossible to repair. He could figure this out. He pulled out his portable generator from his bag. It was small, meant for powering tools, but maybe it would be enough to wake up whatever systems were still working. He found what looked like a power input on the console and connected the generator. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship shuddered. The dust on the floor jumped into the air. The strange symbols on the walls began to glow with soft blue light. A low humming sound filled the cockpit, like a giant machine coming back to life after a long sleep. Then a voice spoke. "Power restored to 0.03%. Analyzing pilot. Species unknown. Genetic markers suggest—" The voice paused. It was calm and smooth, neither male nor female. "Earth origin. Human. Fascinating. You should be extinct." Do-hyun jumped back from the console. "Who said that? Who is there?" "I am Solia. I am the central intelligence of this vessel. I was created by the architects to serve and protect. I have been dormant for approximately 3,247 standard years. May I ask how a human came to be aboard my ship?" "The architects?" Do-hyun had never heard that name before. "Who are the architects?" "The architects were the first great civilization of this galaxy. They existed long before any current species developed space travel. They created life on thousands of worlds. They built technology that your current civilizations cannot understand. And then, 12,000 years ago, they disappeared." Do-hyun tried to process this information. A civilization older than everything. Technology beyond anything he knew. An AI that had been sleeping for over 3,000 years. And somehow he had bought all of this for 200 credits. "Why did you say I should be extinct?" he asked. "Because the architects created humanity as a special project. Humans were designed to be compatible with architect technology in ways that no other species is. The architects believed humans had great potential. But I see from current data streams that humans are now hunted by something called the Dominion. I assumed your species had been destroyed." Outside, Do-hyun could hear banging on the ship's door. The guards were trying to break in. He did not have time for a history lesson. "Solia, Can you fly this ship? Can you get us out of here? With only 0.003% power, my capabilities are extremely limited. However, I can perform basic flight operations. But I must warn you, the engines have not been used in 3 millennia. There may be problems. I do not care about problems. Just get us moving. The ship hummed louder. The lights grew brighter. Do-Yun felt the floor vibrate under his feet. Then, with a terrible screaming sound, the engines came to life. The dock clamps released, thanks to Yuna's hacking. The ship lifted off the platform and turned toward the dock exit. Guards scattered as the ancient vessel moved toward them. It was not graceful. It wobbled and shook. Smoke came from somewhere in the rear. But it was flying. They burst out of the station and into open space. Stars surrounded them in every direction. Behind them, the Crimson Bazaar grew smaller. Ahead, Do-Yun could see the Dominion fleet entering the system. Dozens of warships all heading toward the station. Solia, can we escape? Can we outrun them? In my current condition, no. Dominion vessels will catch us in approximately 17 minutes. However, I know routes through this sector that do not appear on any modern navigation charts. The architects built pathways through space that your current civilizations have forgotten. If you trust me, I can take us through one of these pathways. Do I have a choice? You always have a choice, Park Do-Hyun. That is one of the things the architects loved about humans. You always choose, even when there seems to be no hope. Do-Hyun sat down in the pilot seat. The chair adjusted itself to fit his body perfectly, as if it had been made just for him. Maybe, in a way, it had been. Take us through, he said, and Solia, call me Do-Hyun. Very well, Do-Hyun. Beginning pathway transition. I suggest you hold on to something. The ship shot forward. Space itself seemed to bend around them. Colors that Do-Hyun had never seen before filled the windows. The stars stretched into long lines of light. And then, suddenly, they were somewhere else entirely, a different part of space. The Dominion fleet was nowhere to be seen. Behind them, in the command center of his warship, Commander Reth watched the sensor data with cold eyes. The human ship had activated an energy signature that had not been seen in thousands of years. A signature that matched the oldest and most dangerous records in the Dominion archives. He opened a secure channel to the High Council. The inheritance has been found, he said. A human has it. I am beginning pursuit. The hunt had begun. For 3 days, Do-Yun and Solia ran through the dark spaces between stars. They traveled using ancient pathways that no modern ship could find. They hid in radiation storms that would destroy normal vessels. They moved like ghosts through a galaxy that was searching for them. During those 3 days, Do-Yun learned about his strange new ship. Solia taught him how the architect technology worked. It was nothing like the machines he was used to fixing. Normal ships ran on power cells and computer programs. This ship ran on something deeper. It responded to thoughts and feelings. When Do-Yun wanted the lights brighter, they became brighter. When he felt cold, the temperature adjusted. The ship was almost alive. The architects believed that technology should serve life, not control it, Solia explained. They built their machines to work with biological minds, and for some reason, human minds are especially compatible. Your brain patterns match architect systems better than any other species. Why? Do-Yun asked. Why would they make us special? I do not know. Much of my memory was damaged during my long sleep, but I believe humans were meant to inherit architect technology. You were designed to continue their work after they were gone. On the 4th day, they reached a small station hidden inside an asteroid. This was where Yuna was waiting for them. Her ship, a fast transport vessel, was already docked when they arrived. Yuna was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She had been a military pilot on Earth before the invasion. Now she used her skills to help hidden humans survive and escape the Dominion. When she saw Do-hyun's ship, her mouth fell open. "What is that thing?" she asked. "It looks like it should be in a museum." "It is older than museums," Do-hyun said. "Much older. Come inside. There is someone I want you to meet." He introduced Yuna to Solia. At first, Yuna was suspicious. She had learned not to trust any technology that she did not understand. But as Solia explained the history of the architects and their connection to humanity, Yuna's suspicion turned to wonder. "So you are saying that humans were created by this ancient civilization? That we were designed to use their technology?" "That is correct," Solia replied. "And that is why the Dominion truly fears your species. They know about the architects. They know about humanity's potential. The containment of your species was not about safety. It was about preventing humans from discovering their true inheritance." Yuna looked at Do-hyun. "Do you believe this?" "I did not at first. But I have seen things in the past few days that I cannot explain any other way. This ship is real. Solia is real. And the Dominion is trying very hard to catch us. There must be a reason." Before they could discuss more, an alarm sounded. Solia's voice filled the ship with urgent warning. "3 Dominion interceptor vessels have exited hyperspace nearby. They are scanning the asteroid field. We have approximately 4 minutes before they detect us." "How did they find us?" Yuna demanded. "I believe they are tracking the ship's energy signature. Architect technology is unique. It stands out against the background radiation of space like a fire in darkness." Do-hyun ran to the cockpit. "Can we fight them? My weapon systems have not been used in 3,000 years. I cannot guarantee they will function properly. Also, we are still operating on very low power. My combat capabilities are limited." "What about running?" "Their ships are faster than us in normal space. However, if we reach open space, I can activate another pathway. But reaching open space will take us directly through their formation." Yuna climbed into the co-pilot seat. "Then we fight our way through. Solia, wake up those weapons. Let us see what the architects could do." The ship launched out of the asteroid hiding spot. Immediately, the 3 Dominion interceptors turned toward them. They were sleek, modern warships, built for speed and destruction. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Solia activated the ancient weapons. Panels on the hull slid open, revealing devices that looked nothing like normal guns. They were smooth and organic, more like parts of a living creature than machines. "Weapons charged," Solia announced. "I must warn you, I am uncertain what will happen." The first interceptor fired. Bright plasma bolts streaked through space toward them. Solia moved the ship in ways that seemed impossible. It did not just turn and dodge. It seemed to slip between the attacks like water flowing around stones. The movement was smooth and beautiful and completely unlike any ship Do-hyun had ever seen. "How are you doing that?" Yuna shouted. "Architect vessels do not fly through space. They convince space to move around them. It is a subtle difference, but it matters greatly in combat." They were close to the first interceptor now. Solia fired the weapons. A beam of pure white light shot from the ship. It was not hot like plasma. It was not explosive like missiles. It simply touched the interceptor, and the interceptor stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment it was gone. Not destroyed, not broken apart. Just gone. "What was that?" Do-hyun whispered. The architects understood that matter and energy are temporary forms. Their weapons simply encourage things to become something else. The interceptor has been converted to pure energy and scattered across multiple dimensions. The crew experienced no pain. They simply stopped existing in this reality. The other 2 interceptors began to retreat. They had seen what happened to their partner. They wanted no part of this fight. But Solia was faster. 2 more beams of light, 2 more ships vanished into nothing. The path to open space was clear. Solia activated the ancient pathway, and once again the stars stretched into lines of light. They were safe. For now. But the battle had cost them. The weapon systems were now completely drained. The ship's already low power was even lower. Solia's voice sounded tired. If an AI could sound tired. "We need to find a proper power source," she said. "My systems are failing. Without more energy, I will be forced to return to dormancy, and you will be left with a ship you cannot fly." "Where can we find architect power?" Do-Yun asked. "There is a place, a world called Kethvora. It was an architect facility world, hidden from all records. The Dominion does not know it exists. There is a power station there that might still be functional, but the journey will take several days. I do not know if I can stay awake that long." Yuna put her hand on the console. "Then we better start moving. Solia, you kept us alive today. We will keep you alive tomorrow. That is what partners do." "Partners," Solia repeated. "I think I like that word." "Very well, partners. Setting course for Kethvora. And I hope you are prepared for what we might find there. The architects left many things behind when they disappeared. Not all of them are pleasant." The ship turned toward the distant stars. Behind them, somewhere in the dark, Commander Reth was watching sensor recordings of the battle. He had seen his ships disappear. He had seen weapons that should not exist. And he had made a decision. He would not just bring a patrol to catch this human. He would bring a fleet. He would bring enough firepower to destroy an entire world. Because whatever was on that ship, whatever power the human had found, it could not be allowed to spread. The Dominion's entire existence depended on keeping humanity weak and ignorant. Commander Reth began sending messages to every ship in the sector. The hunt was growing larger. And the target was running out of places to hide. Kethvora was a dead world. From space, it looked like a gray ball of rock, with no water, no life, no reason for anyone to visit. The Dominion had never found it, because there was nothing to find. Just another empty planet, in a galaxy full of empty planets. But beneath the surface, everything was different. Solia guided the ship to a hidden entrance on the dark side of the planet. A mountain split open as they approached, revealing a massive tunnel leading deep underground. Lights flickered on as they flew inside, ancient systems waking up after thousands of years of sleep. "Welcome to Kethvora," Solia said. Her voice was weak now, barely a whisper. This was one of the architect's greatest facility worlds, research laboratories, manufacturing centers, living quarters for millions, all preserved, all waiting. The tunnel opened into an enormous underground cavern. Do-Yun and Yuna stared in amazement. The cavern was so large that they could not see the other side. Buildings rose from the floor like a city frozen in time. Ships sat in hangar bays, covered in dust but otherwise perfect. Lights glowed softly everywhere, powered by systems that had lasted for over 10,000 years. "It is beautiful," Yuna whispered. "And empty," Do-Yun added. He was right. There were no bodies anywhere, no signs of violence or disaster. The architects had simply left, taking nothing with them. "Solia, what happened to them? Where did they go?" "I do not know the full answer. My records say only that they transcended. They evolved beyond physical form. They became something else, something that does not need bodies or planets or machines. But before they left, they prepared. They left behind tools and knowledge for the species that would come after them." Solia landed the ship near what looked like a central tower. The three of them, Do-Yun, Yuna, and Solia's projected holographic avatar, walked through the empty streets of the underground city. Everything was perfectly preserved. Furniture in the buildings, tools in the workshops, food storage units that were still sealed. "They left in a hurry," Yuna observed. "Or they did not care about taking anything. When you transcend physical existence, material possessions become meaningless," Solia explained. "They took only what mattered: knowledge, experience, memory. The rest was left for others." They reached the central tower and took a lift down to the power station. It was a massive room filled with glowing containers of energy. The power was not electrical or nuclear or anything Do-hyun recognized. It was something purer, something that seemed to hum with life itself. "This is enough power to run 1,000 ships for 1,000,000 years," Solia said. "With your permission, I will begin transferring energy to my systems." "Do it," Do-hyun said. As Solia connected to the power station, her holographic form grew stronger and more solid. Her voice became clearer. Screens and displays throughout the room flickered to life, showing data and images from across the galaxy. "Full power restored," Solia announced. Her voice was strong now, confident. "All systems operational. And I now have access to the complete architect database. This includes records of every architect facility, every ship, every AI that was ever created. Do-hyun, there are hundreds of ships like mine scattered across the galaxy. Hundreds of AIs like me, all waiting in dormant mode for someone to wake them." While Solia explored her newly restored capabilities, Yuna found something else. A room filled with recording devices. She activated one, and a holographic figure appeared. It was an architect, the first one any of them had ever seen. It looked almost human, but taller, thinner, with silver skin and eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. The recording spoke in a language none of them understood, but Solia translated. "To those who find this place, we leave our greatest warning. The silence is coming. We felt it approaching for thousands of years. We could not stop it. We could not fight it. We could only prepare you. The silence is not a species or an army. It is an ending. It consumes civilizations. It erases histories. It brings true death to the galaxy." The recording continued. "We created many species in hopes that one would be strong enough to face the silence when it arrives. We failed many times, but humanity is our greatest creation. Your minds are flexible. Your spirits are unbreakable. You adapt. You survive. You fight even when there is no hope. You are the key. Find the others. Wake them. Build the alliance that we could not build. And when the silence comes, stand together or fall alone." The hologram disappeared. The room was quiet. "The silence," Yuna said slowly. "What is the silence?" "I do not know," Solia admitted. "This is new information to me as well. My memories from before my dormancy do not contain this warning. But the architects were preparing for something terrible, something that scared even them." Before they could discuss more, alarms began to ring throughout the facility. "What is happening?" Do-hyun demanded. Solia's eyes went wide. "Dominion fleet detected. They have found Keth Vora. 53 warships are entering orbit. Commander Reth is demanding our surrender." 53 ships? Yuna could not believe it. "They sent 53 ships for us?" "They are not just here for us," Solia said. "They are here to destroy this facility, to erase all evidence of the architects, to make sure no human ever learns the truth." Commander Reth's voice came through all communication channels. His tone was cold and final. "Human designate Park Do-hyun. You have something that does not belong to you. Surrender the vessel and yourself immediately. If you do not comply, we will destroy this planet and everything on it. You have 10 minutes. Do-hyun looked at Yuna. Yuna looked at Solia's avatar. They were deep underground on a dead planet, surrounded by technology they barely understood, with 53 warships waiting to kill them above. "Solia," Do-hyun said. "You said your weapons are fully powered now. Can we fight 53 ships?" "No. Even at full power, I cannot defeat an entire fleet. We would destroy perhaps 5 or 6 before they overwhelmed us." "Then what do we do?" Solia was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Older, more serious. "There is one option. This facility is not just a power station. It is also a beacon. I can activate it. The signal will reach every dormant architect system in the galaxy. Every ship. Every AI. Every hidden facility. They will all wake up. They will all know that humanity is ready. Ready for what? To claim their inheritance, to take the place the architects prepared for them. But I must warn you, Do-yun, if I activate this beacon, the entire galaxy will know about humanity. Some will worship you, some will fear you, some will try to destroy you. There will be no more hiding, no more pretending to be a Velthari trader. Humanity will be exposed to everyone. 9 minutes left. The fleet above was preparing its weapons. The choice was impossible. Stay hidden and die, or reveal everything and face an uncertain future. Do-yun thought about his family on Earth, killed in the first attacks. He thought about all the humans still hiding in dark corners of the galaxy, afraid to show their faces. He thought about the architects who had created humanity and believed they could face the silence. 8 minutes left. "Activate the beacon," he said. Solia smiled. "I was hoping you would say that." The beacon activated with a sound like 1,000 bells ringing at once. Energy pulsed outward from Keth Vora, invisible but powerful, spreading through space faster than light. It reached distant stars in seconds. It touched hidden moons in minutes. It woke sleeping machines that had waited for over 10,000 years. Across the galaxy, ancient systems opened their eyes. On a frozen moon in the outer rim, a ship buried under ice began to warm. On a jungle planet that no explorer had ever mapped, a facility hidden in the mountains started to hum. In the empty space between galaxies, vessels that had been drifting for centuries adjusted their courses. They all felt the signal. They all understood the message. Humanity was awake. Humanity was ready. Commander Reth watched his sensors with growing horror. Energy signatures were appearing everywhere. Dozens, hundreds, thousands. Each one matched the ancient records that the Dominion had tried to destroy. Each one represented architect technology that had been sleeping for millennia. "What have you done?" he whispered. In the underground facility of Keth Vora, Do-yun felt the power of the beacon flowing through him. Solia had explained that activating it required a human mind. The architects had designed it that way. Only their chosen successors could wake the sleeping inheritance. "The signal is complete," Solia announced. "Across the galaxy, 847 architect vessels are now active, 2,141 facility systems are coming online, and 156 AIs like myself are awakening from dormancy. They are all receiving my message. They are all coming here." "How long until they arrive?" Yuna asked. "The closest vessels will reach this system in approximately 7 minutes. The fleet above has 5 minutes before that happens." Commander Reth's voice came through the communications again. He sounded less confident now, almost desperate. "Human, whatever you have done, undo it. The Dominion will negotiate. We will discuss terms. Just stop this madness." Do-hyun took the communication device. "You spent 5 years hunting my people. You killed my family, you put millions of humans in prison camps, and now you want to negotiate? You do not understand what you are doing. The architects were not gods. They were dangerous. Their technology is unstable. They disappeared because they lost control of their own creations. If you continue down this path, you will destroy yourselves and take the rest of the galaxy with you. Maybe. Or maybe we will do what the architects believed we could do. Either way, Commander, it is no longer your decision to make." Do-yun ended the communication. 4 minutes until the architect ships arrived. Commander Reth made his choice. If he could not stop what was coming, he would at least destroy the human who started it. "All ships," he ordered. "Fire everything! Destroy the planet!" 53 warships opened fire at once. Beams of energy and waves of missiles rained down on Keth Vora. The surface of the planet cracked and burned. Mountains were vaporized. Craters appeared where plains had been. But the underground facility was protected by shields that the Dominion's weapons could not penetrate. Architect technology was simply better, more advanced, more complete. The attacks shook the ground but did not break through. 3 minutes. Do-yun and Yuna ran back to their ship. Solia had already prepared it for launch. The hangar bay doors opened, and they flew up through the tunnel, emerging onto the burning surface of Kethvora. Above them, the Dominion fleet continued firing. Around them, the planet was dying. But ahead of them, something wonderful was happening. Ships were appearing out of nowhere. They came through pathways in space, just like Solia had used. Each one was different, but all shared the same beautiful, organic design of architect technology. Some were small, like Do-hyun's ship. Others were massive, larger than Dominion battleships. They moved like living things, graceful and powerful. 2 minutes. The first architect vessel engaged the Dominion fleet. It was a medium-sized ship, perhaps carrying an AI that had been dormant for only a few hundred years. But it tore through 3 Dominion warships before anyone could react. Its weapons erased ships from existence, just like Solia's had done. Then more architect vessels joined the battle, and more, and more. The Dominion fleet began to retreat. They had come to destroy one ancient ship. They had not prepared to fight an army of them. Explosions filled the sky as warship after warship was destroyed or disabled. 1 minute. Commander Reth's flagship was hit. The great warship spun out of control, its engines damaged but not destroyed. Do-hyun made a decision. Solia, take us to that ship. I want to board it. That is extremely dangerous. I know. Do it anyway. They flew toward the disabled flagship. Solia cut through the hull with precision weapons, creating an opening just large enough for Do-hyun to enter. He jumped through, landing in a corridor filled with smoke and sparks. He found Commander Reth on the bridge. The commander was alone, his crew either dead or escaped. He was staring at a screen showing the battle outside, watching his fleet being destroyed. "You have lost," Do-hyun said. "I have lost a battle. The war is not over. The Dominion controls 1 million worlds. You have found a few hundred ancient ships. The mathematics is not in your favor." Do-hyun walked closer. "I am not going to kill you." Reth looked surprised. "Why not? I have hunted your people for years. I deserve death." "Maybe. But I want you to understand something first." Do-hyun pulled out a data chip, one of the recordings from Kethvora. "This contains the truth about the architects, about humanity, about why the Dominion was really formed. Your government has been lying to the galaxy for thousands of years. They created the fear of humans because they knew what we could become." He placed the chip on the console in front of Reth. "Watch it, learn the truth, then decide what you want to do with the rest of your life. You can keep fighting a war you will never win. Or you can help us prepare for what is really coming. The silence. The thing the architects could not stop. It is still out there somewhere. And when it arrives, the galaxy will need to be united, not divided." Do-hyun left the bridge. Behind him, Commander Reth picked up the data chip and held it in his hand. Outside, the battle was over. The Dominion fleet had been destroyed or scattered. Architect vessels filled the space around Kethvora, their AIs communicating with Solia, sharing information, making plans. And across the galaxy, the news was spreading. Humans were not dangerous animals to be contained. They were the inheritors of the greatest civilization ever to exist. Hidden humans began to emerge from their hiding places. Other species began to seek them out, curious about these small beings who had changed everything. Months later, Do-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the stars. Yuna stood beside him, along with representatives from 12 other species who had joined their cause. Solia's avatar glowed softly nearby. "Where do we go now?" Yuna asked. "Earth," Do-hyun said. "There are still millions of humans there living under Dominion control. It is time to bring them home." "Home to Earth?" Do-hyun shook his head. "Earth was our birthplace, but the stars are our home. The architects always knew that. They designed us to explore, to grow, to reach beyond our limits. Earth was just the beginning." Solia spoke, her voice filled with warmth. "The architects called humanity their greatest creation. After watching you these past months, I believe I understand why. You do not simply adapt to the universe, Do-hyun. You make the universe adapt to you. You face impossible situations and refuse to accept defeat. You find hope where there is none, and create miracles from nothing. That sounds like too much credit for one mechanic from Earth. You are much more than a mechanic now. You are a symbol, a proof that the architects were right to believe in your species. Do-hyun smiled. I am still just a mechanic. I fix things. That is what I do. And right now there is a whole galaxy that needs fixing. He sat down in the pilot's chair, the seat that had been designed by beings who had lived 12,000 years ago, but had somehow known that he would sit there one day. The chair fit him perfectly, as it always had, as it always would. Solia, set course for Earth. Maximum speed. Course set. Estimated arrival time, 14 days. The ship turned toward the distant star that Do-hyun had been born under. Behind them, a fleet of architect vessels followed. Ahead of them, a galaxy waited to be changed. Somewhere out there, the silence was coming. The great threat that had scared even the architects was still moving through the darkness between galaxies. But for the first time in 12,000 years, someone was preparing to face it. Humanity had found its inheritance, and they would not waste it. The engines hummed, the stars stretched into lines of light, and Park Do-hyun, the mechanic who had bought a broken ship for 200 credits, flew toward the future that the architects had always believed he would create.